What is up, everybody? You know, we always start this show off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible. Guys, I'm starting it off with my friends over at CompanyCam. Guys, every time I use this, I learn something new about them. I don't care what size you are. CompanyCam just makes the simple things even simpler. We all got to take pictures. We all got to present them to customers. This place makes it so we're not those guys. We're going through our camera roll and all we have is pictures of fucking nomenclature plates and furnaces, and they should be in a whole separate place. CompanyCam does that for you, so it categorizes them. It puts them in a folder, list it with the customer. They're geotagged, they're time stamped, everything there to cover your ass when the picture was taken, what was done, before and afters, and it even gives you little templates. I actually am going to have Claire Fick from CompanyCam come back on. I said it last week. She just did a podcast with my friends over at the Service Business Mastery podcast, my buddy Tersh and Josh, explaining even some of the things that I didn't even know that they did, how it can help you in SEO and automatically put new pictures up of your current work based on the area and, you know, who's looking and all that kind of stuff. So it really, really is amazing, guys. I tell you to go check it out. I've been able to work out an awesome deal for you guys. 14 days for free. No credit card, no nothing. You literally get to try it for 14 days. If you like it, great. If you don't, no harm, no foul. But if you do, if you go to companycam.com /HVAC Uncensored, they will give you 50% off your first 2 months. All right, next. Let's hurry up and get through these. Guys, my friends over at Bluon, if you have not, after everything that I've told you and everything we've done on this podcast, if you have not downloaded the Bluon app, I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Guys, Bluon is a resource to have in your pocket that is like no other. All right? It is tech support. It is manuals. We all go out to things. The manuals have been lost or whatever throughout the years, and you need it. You go on the Bluon, you put it in, 300,000+ manuals in there. Does that mean you're going to look and you're going to find one and they're not going to have it? Maybe, but if you let them know, they're going to make sure they get it. Some of the oddballs aren't in there, but most of them are. The same piece of equipment, you can't figure it out, no matter what brand it is. Call Bluon. Their tech support team is going to help you get through and get the problem fixed. Then you find, hey, you need a blower motor. You go through the Bluon app. You order it from your supply house that you're already using. And then that part can be delivered to you. Guys, it keeps getting better. There's no reason that anybody should not have the Bluon app downloaded. It is 100% free to the technician. They're amazing people over there at Bluon. I am so happy to be working with them. And their love for the trade and what they do and what they give for free is just fucking amazing. So download the Bluon app. All right, last but not least, this is a new one, guys. This is friends of mine. This is something that I normally don't advertise, but these guys are good friends of mine, and I definitely want to do this for them. If you guys have not checked out the HVAC Service Secrets Revealed, that is my friend Thaddeus and Evan. They also own On Purpose Media. If you are a HVAC company in the trades at all, and you are having issues with your digital marketing, your SEO, your website, all that kind of stuff, go give them a try. They are willing to give anybody from HVAC Uncensored Nation 10% off your first 3 months. These guys are great guys. I love what they do. They are actually the guys who are building or built the HVAC Uncensored website for me, my store and everything, which is almost done. They've been awesome. I've been the one slowing the process up, to be honest with you, just because of so many other things. But marketing is key. A lot of people think the more you spend, the better it is, but you need to know where you're spending your money, how you're spending your money, and if you're putting it in the right place. So go check out them over at On Purpose Media and get that shit started today. All right, let's do the pledge, man. Got an awesome guest for you guys tonight. I cannot wait to get into this show. Let's rock and roll. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil Cavey Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. I'm your host, Gil Cavey Jr. Another great show for you guys tonight, man. I'm looking forward to talk to this guest. So many different things that we're going to talk about. Sorry for being a few minutes late. We were literally talking off air and just hearing some of the story and hearing different things. I was intrigued and I was like, man, we got people waiting. Like, we got to say this on the show. This stuff is good. So without further ado, let's just get into this. Guys, if you can help me put your hands together for the one and only Mr. Darren Dixon. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're kind of out and about traveling right now.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm on a I don't know, like 20-day road trip or something with my wife, and we left Sarasota, Florida, like 4 days ago. Now we're out here in Southern California, and we're going to be hanging in the West for a little bit and then heading back. But I'm really glad to be here. So forgive my very casual appearance, but I just rolled into Southern California here just about an hour or so before this call. So
it's all good. I'm always casual. I'm whoring out somebody else's merch most of the time, all the time. Southern California, I love it, but I like visiting there. I don't think I could ever live there though.
Traffic is crazy down here.
Yeah,
and the price of gas is pretty high too. I just filled up. I drove here, like I said, and I had to stop and fill up my Range Rover, and it was like $5.54 a gallon. So that's pretty much, that's about, I would say about $1 and about $1.40 higher than it is where I'm at. But you know, whatever. I'm not trying to bitch. I'm just saying. Yeah,
no, it's crazy. Everything over there. And there's other reasons I couldn't go there too. I won't get into that. But yeah,
I get wanted in this state or some shit or what?
No, I'm not. I probably would be wanted if I lived there. I guess just some of my political views and how I feel. I just don't know if I could live in California.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a little bit more liberal than your flow, bro.
Yeah, definitely couldn't do it. It's hard enough being so close to DC. But I guess for some of these people, these technicians out there who maybe don't know who Darren Dixon is, I guess kind of a brief, like, just let them know a little bit about you, like who you are, your background, and all that kind of stuff. Like some of the things we talked about. I know it's a lot, and we can unpack it all. It doesn't really matter to me.
Well, I'm just going to here to tell you, like it is. Like, so I am born and raised in Las Vegas, Nevada. In 1995, I had 3 jobs and I was barely making ends meet. And a guy I knew came up to me and said, "Hey, would you like to come work for me and sell air conditioners and make tons of money?" And I said, "Well, what's tons of money mean?" And he said, "Well, I don't have anybody that works for me that makes less than $50,000 a year." And I was like, holy shit, I will be rich. I mean, with one job, $50,000 a year, I was like, yes. I didn't even really ask what I had to do in detail to do it. I said, I'll take the job. So long story short is that company was part of an organization called Success Group International. No, Contractor Success Group. This was the predecessor to that organization. So Contractor Success Group. And I learned how to sell air conditioners right away, and I was put through all kinds of training and blah, 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 blah. So I sold my very first year. Our average sale was like between $3,600 and $4,000. I mean, you sold 10 SEER. That's all you sold really here was 10 SEER systems. And in like about the first year or so, I sold like $1 million. And so I was doing well. And
well, Christ, not to interrupt you, but back then $1 million, that's like 4 or 5 million nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, based on the, yeah, right. So that's right. And I liked doing it and I liked helping people. And I was like, this is the easiest fucking job in the world. Like all I got to do is go into these people's houses and sit down and talk. And I make like $360 to $400 every time that I make a sale. And I sold like, I don't know. I mean, I think I sold like, more than half of them. And I was like, this is the easiest job in the world. I'll just keep doing this forever. And then, so I kept working for the company, and I started actually having people. I was using financing all the time because I realized quickly that the more that I financed, the more that I sold. And so the company only had like one financing resource. And if I got, if I had a decline on financing, I was like, I got to figure out how to get this done so that I can make the sale. So I went out and started I had like 4 or 5 different financing resources that I put together myself. And one of them was a mortgage lender, a subprime mortgage lender. And he's like, dude, if you get a turn down, send it to me and I'll get it done. So I started doing that. And all of a sudden he started, he started slipping me a little envelope for turning over so many deals to him. And I was making as much in that envelope as I was selling air conditioners. And so he goes, hey, I'll make it even easier for you. Like, if you just do all the footwork on the loan and turn it over to me, I'll pay you like half the commission on the loan. I started doing that, and I literally was making more money on the notes than I was on selling the air conditioning system. So I'm like, I'm just going to go and do this full time. And so I went to resign from the company that I worked at in Las Vegas. And the owner said, well, you can't leave, because if you leave, then you're going to disrupt my retirement plan, because I see you as the heir apparent to the company. And I didn't know that at the time. I was shocked when he said it. But anyway, long story short is I made a decision not to leave and not to go into the mortgage business. And I stayed in the AC business. And that was in 1998 that happened. In 2003 is when it was actually time to transact. So I worked 5 more years on a handshake promise, building the value of that company, treating it like I was the owner. And so a month before we were about to transact the company, Jim Abrams from Clockwork Home Services called us and asked us to come to Florida and visit with him. And we literally made a deal to transact with him. So on the very same day that I bought it, at the same table, 5 minutes later, I turned around and I merged with Clockwork Home Services. And, from a guy that was, from a guy that didn't go to college and, was living in the back of his friend's pickup truck at one point. In the very beginning of 2004, I was all of a sudden an instant multimillionaire. And so from there, I really went to work on building the organization at Clockwork Home Services. So I was now in charge of Ben Franklin Plumbing, Mr. Sparky Electric, and 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning. And at the time, it was just me. I didn't have a team. So I was traveling around the country, acquiring businesses, and then was responsible for overseeing the operation of those. And from 2004 until 2008, 2007, from 2004 to 2007, we bought 21 locations, and we grew from 0 to 161 million bucks in about almost 4 years.
Holy shit.
And so it was very busy, and we grew a lot. And I think the most valuable thing that happened to me during that period, because, all throughout that period, Gil, like I was, one of the main trainers at the training at our training school. So I was training technicians on communication skills. I was training the $1 million and $2 million training for comfort advisors. And I think the most valuable thing that happened for me during that time period was I learned about the power of consistency. The power of consistency. And I saw guys that were not as skilled and as talented, but were more consistent than guys that had, a little more flair and a little bit more pizzazz to them, but they would outperform them because of consistency. And so it was then that I started to realize that we needed to do something about our business model to create a business model that allowed us to perform more consistently and did not continuously rely on trying to take a technician and force him into being a salesperson. And so long story short is, we sold that company in 2010. had the opportunity with some really great business partners and friends to grow a couple more businesses and sell them. And in 2018, I was floating in my pool in Florida where I live. And my wife was sitting over on the stairs, and I had a Woodford in my hand. And I was sitting and floating. I was thinking about, I don't need money, but I'm not done. Like I want to, like, I care about this shit. You know what I mean? It's like, It's not like, I'm not like the richest dude around for sure. Like, that's not it. But I live a simple life. Like, I'm like, you see me on the weekend, I'm in like, surf shorts and a t-shirt like I'm wearing right now. And, flip-flops for the most part. And so, I keep my life simple. I do like nice cars though, but I keep my life simple. But I was like, I don't need money today, but I'm not done having an impact on this business that I love so much. And I've spent so much time in. And so I thought to myself, what could I do that would really be awesome to contribute to the industry, knowing what I know about it? And I came up with two things. Number one is that technicians get treated like shit in this industry. Okay? And I'm just going to say it because they do. And, you tell me any other job where you'd go to work and you'd ask, what time do I get off today, sir, so I can go have dinner with my family? And they'd say, you get off when you get off. We'll tell you when you're done, right? Nobody else in that company would work that way. You couldn't get somebody to come to work in the office and they'd say, well, what time do I get to be off? And they'd say, you leave when we tell you leave, right? Like that's, and I know that, that's troublesome and it's hard on families and the stuff I think that we ask from technicians is too much because, you shouldn't have to sacrifice such a high level to make a living that it turns around and costs you important things with your family. Okay.
It costs you the very thing you're working for, divorce rate, drug addiction,
The whole point, bro. Like, how many times, like, look, man, I'm guilty of this from the old days. Not today, but I'm guilty of this from the old days, man. You got somebody you're busy as hell and you've taken in more business for the day than you actually can do. And now you're pushing on your technicians to go out there and perform at greater than 100% effort so that you can make more. And that's fucked up. That's not the way it's supposed to be. And you should be there watching your kids play t-ball. You should be there at Donuts for Dads. You should be there when your daughter's in her dance recital. You should be there when your wife needs you. And you shouldn't have to sacrifice all of that to make a living in this industry. And because of that, I felt like that shit was broken and I wanted to fix it. Okay. That was number one.
Amen.
Number two, and let me add on 1B. Nobody should try to force you to sell shit so you can make enough money to survive, even if you don't believe that that's the right thing that you should do for the customer. Okay. I'm just going to say that. All right. Okay. Number two was that I wanted to fix the problem of ginormous companies basically blocking mid-size and smaller companies from being able to get enough business because of how much money they spend on the internet. When I was earlier in the business, before there was internet shit, it was the yellow pages, and that's how you block people. You would buy the first double truck and then another page after that, right? And ultimately what that would do is that would choke out the smaller guys to be able, because they didn't have enough money. So that would choke out the smaller guys to be able to advertise. And that was how the bigger companies manipulated the market. Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so that happens today on Google. That's how it's no different than it was then. It's just not paper. It's now digital, right? So here's the thing. There is no technological tool today, except for the one that we built, because I built it for part of this reason, but there is no tool that actually shows you how much you should spend today on marketing to maximize 100% of your manpower. Instead, what happens is companies go out and they spend some stupid amount of money that a smaller company can't compete with. Okay. Like my marketing budget at my last company was probably 2 or 3 times larger than the average size air conditioning company. Does this make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So here you got these great contractors out here that are small to medium size, that don't have the capital to turn around and try to compete against the big companies. And today, you know, like I'm not an enemy of the PE or anything, but today the PE's got shit tons of money that they're dumping into this, and they're trying to take these businesses and they're trying to choke out the middle. And I don't like that, because you got a lot of guys that I used to train. I used to train these guys and they're technicians. They're like my friends. And they're out here struggling, trying to compete because this fucking company is over here spending so much money on marketing that the smaller guy won't be seen. And that guy's booking out 2 or 3 days and he's not even giving good service. And he's working his technicians to the bone when you got a company over here who's got a technician who needs a call right now. Is that, you feel me?
Yeah, damn right. I feel you.
Okay. So I knew that if I could build a tool that could show a customer who needed service, good quality companies that needed a service call right now through my marketplace, that would be a good thing. And those were my 2 primary objectives. Fix the life of the technician so that being a technician is great. And look, on your channel or on your group on Facebook, you got thousands and thousands of technicians, and these guys care about helping people, and they care about being technicians, and they care about going out there and doing their job. They're passionate about it, and that's obvious, right? But you turn around and you look at what the average guy sacrifices to have that job, and there's a reason as his kid won't probably want to be in the same industry.
Yeah.
There's a reason his kid doesn't want to be in the same industry. And because of that, now we've got a shortage. And in reality, it's not really a shortage like you would think, oh, there's just not enough technicians. You've got massive companies out there that are advertising for technicians because they've got so many more service calls than they can run in a day because they're overspending on marketing, that this industry says, oh, there's a shortage of 83,000 technicians. Well, that's not really true. What's really wrong, Gil, is there is a broken distribution between service calls and available qualified service companies.
That makes sense.
So that's my jam. And then what we realized is that once we could do that, so we built Fixify to do that, right? That's what it is. And I've heard people go, oh, it's Uber and all this. It's not Uber. What it is it's a marketplace where companies who are available right now can use our software for cheap, like cheap, stupid cheap, and be part of a network that now consumers can come into and can see, here's a qualified available technician, and push a button and he's on his way. And then what happens from there is that our technology takes the information from the service call, right? And it runs it through a computer, a very sophisticated computer that's been programmed with 27 years of knowledge in the home services industry. Okay. Uh-huh. And it takes the information and it delivers it to the consumer in what we call a self-serve format. Hey, have you been to McDonald's lately?
Sadly, yes.
Why does everybody have McDonald's guilt? I don't have McDonald's guilt. If I go in there because I want a Big Mac, I'm not sorry for it. Right?
No, my kids eat it so much that it makes me not like it. But that's why I say sadly, yes, because I go in there too much.
All right. But if you've walked into McDonald's, then you're probably part of the 68% of everybody else that walks in McDonald's and goes directly now to the kiosk. There's nobody at the register, but they go directly to the kiosk. You know why? Because they like self-serve.
Yeah.
Whether they're using the kiosk, whether they're using their app, or whether they're using something like Uber Eats or DoorDash, McDonald's, which is the largest by far, quick serve restaurant in the world, 25% ownership of the entire market, whether it's chicken, tacos, anything, right? By far the winner, says that when a consumer comes, 68% of their consumers use their kiosk, and that the average order is 30% higher than when somebody goes up to the register to order. So what we know today is that consumers want information in a transparent way, and then they want to be able to make decisions in a self-serve manner. So what we do with Fixify is that we walk the technician through the diagnostic. He enters the information from a comprehensive, performance evaluation of the machine. And then we carve up the information and we show it to the customer in what we would consider to be a self-serve format. We show the customer what the required repair to turn the machine back on is. And then we show the customer all of the areas that the machine is performing outside of the manufacturer's specifications, whether it's in the areas of wear and tear or in maintenance need. And now the customer is able to use basically a smart iPad or a tablet right there on their counter, and they're able to choose what it is that they want. And the coolest thing about it is that every single time that a technician runs a service call using Fixify, they know one thing that they can count on for very absolutely sure 100% of the time, is that what the software is doing is it's finding the most cost-effective solution for the customer each and every time. And if that happens to be replacement, it's based on scientific information. It's based on calculations. It's not based on the fact that I was in a technician's meeting this morning, and the manager said if I didn't turn over at least 1 or 2 good leads today, that I was off the fucking A team. Okay? It's literally because that's what's most right for the customer. So it's not about any other reason than that. And that's how we should always be making our decisions on our recommendations for the customer. At least that's what we believe at Fixify, okay? And that's what it does. So now when a technician is running a service call, they can run the diagnostic right through Fixify's Super Pro app, and it pops up on the customer's smart pad, or it can be done through a web browser, and it shows the customer what the most correct solution for their system is. And so far, it's been wildly successful. It's generating higher levels of consistent performance value because consumers have a transparent understanding of what's going on with the machine, and they get to choose for themselves. If the most cost-effective solution for the consumer financially is a replacement sale, then we have the responsibility to tell them that the most cost-effective solution is a replacement sale. But if I don't have the technology in my hand to be able to back up why I'm explaining that, then really I'm just a salesperson.
Yep.
But if I have scientific information right here in my hands that shows me that the most cost-effective solution for this customer is the replacement sale, I'm advising them. I'm not trying to sell them shit. And I think in all of the years of training that I've been doing, Gil, the thing that I know that technicians don't want to do the most is they don't want to recommend something to a customer for the only reason is that they make more money. Does this make sense? Like, You want to make more money? Sell more shit. And that's not really how it's supposed to be. How it's supposed to really be is do a more comprehensive evaluation and share comprehensive information with the consumer. And as those consumers desire to choose more things that are right for them in their home, the byproduct is you also get compensated because of it. Yeah. But the way it goes today is, you want to make more money, then you got to sell more stuff. And I don't think that the majority of technicians actually want to do that. I don't think the majority of technicians want to go into a service call thinking to themselves, the way I make more money is to sell more stuff. I just don't believe that.
I hate that. And there's always got to be that line of integrity. And if someone doesn't have it, then they can't work with me or for me. You just can't, because if I don't trust you to hang out with you, to do different things, then how can you work for me and represent the brand that we're trying to build? And even when I had those years that I did really good, I never sold anybody anything. Like you just said, I tried to do thorough and do the best fucking job that I possibly could. Go through everything with a fine-tooth comb, explain it to them in a way that they could understand, tell them what they need, what they don't need. And if the system happened to be 20 years old, it's like, hey, I can get this working, but it's going to cost X. And a lot of times they would be like, well, damn, what's a new one cost? I never had to bring it up most of the time.
Yep, I get it. And now with the way that we built the flow with Fixify is that you just put the information in on the evaluation of the components, and then we produce a financial report that says here's based on your age, based on the condition of the machine, based on the cooling hours and degree days of where you're at in the HRI zone, right? And based on your zip code, and it even knows what their utility rate is, and it runs an analysis on it, and it says here's what makes most sense financially. Because look, there's never been a standard that we've ever really been able to give to technicians or salespeople that says, here's the standard of the way it's done. Like restaurants has it. If you walk into a restaurant and there's a C up on the wall, what's that mean? It means not very clean.
Yeah.
In a restaurant, right? Like the food grade,
Yeah.
And so they have standards, but yet when you go on a service call, the consumer has absolutely no idea what the standard should be of how recommendations are made. And not only do they not know, now it's placed on the technician. How is a technician supposed to know what's right for every single person?
Yeah, it's hard.
All they can do is go, well, here's what I would do if it was mine, because I'm not you, right? So I'm not you. So all I can really do is go, here's what I would do if it was mine. And because you can fix it if it breaks, you don't have the same mentality as the consumer does. So what Fixify does is it knew that. So you put the information in, it makes it transparent so the consumer can look at it and can say, okay, I can fix what has to be done to turn it back on for this. These are the areas that are worn out and are probably my next repairs, right? These are my areas of maintenance that are needed. And you put all that together and you run it through a calculator, and there is an answer on whether replacement or repair makes the most financial sense. And in a world where there is no actual standard for what we can always know we did the right thing for, we said, let's just make it a financial decision. If it costs more to keep it than it does to replace it, then we should recommend to the customer that they should replace it.
Yeah.
If it keeps less to keep it, if it costs less to keep it than it does to replace it, unless they go, oh, I hate it because it's noisy or it's too humid or I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about the day-to-day shit, right? The day-to-day call. How do you know when it's right to make the replacement? And so Fixify calculates all that and it shows it to the customer and it says, based on these pieces of information, this is the recommendation. And it takes the technicians. It doesn't take the technician's professionalism and expertise out of it. It takes the technician's intent out of it. Sometimes what I've heard in training and managing lots and lots of technicians is that they don't want to feel like the customer thinks they're trying to get them to do something because there's some kind of financial reward for them, right?
Yeah.
So, and you don't have any actual science to base it on, so you have to go off of what you do or what your opinion is. And so Fixify takes that away from that. And guess what? Frankly, there are a hell of a lot more replacement opportunities than we ever thought. Because when you actually do the financials on these machines, Gil, there are so many more replacement opportunities than we ever thought before. We used to go off of age only, right? Oh, if it's over this age, then, it's a replacement opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I coined that phrase, okay? But now what we know is that when you actually look at the machine through an economic lens, the replacement opportunities are a lot more expansive. And so that's what our software does. That's what our app does. Like a technician can use our app and can run a service call, and it's going to make the recommendations to the consumer for them. And then it doesn't really matter what operating system they use. If they use Service Titan or they use, House Call Pro or whatever it is, you run the service call through Fixify. The customer says yes to what you want to do. You just transfer it over into your invoice in Service Titan or whatever it is you want to do. Now, if you're a business owner and you want to use Fixify's full software, well, then, that makes sense too, but you don't have to. You can use it, or you can just use it as a sales tool. And it's very effective.
That's sweet. Somebody just asked, does the software have the replacement cost built in to show the customer?
Yes, it does. And it actually shows the customer what the true cost of ownership it is. So we set up it's real super simple. When you use it, we just set up what your price book is in the back end. And then when you run the service call, it runs a calculation of what the cost to keep that machine is, because it knows what it is, and it compares it to your price book. And it runs an analysis of your price book against that machine, and that's how it makes the recommendations. And there's no such thing as good, better, best in Fixify. There is the lowest cost of ownership, mid cost of ownership, and the highest cost of ownership. And wherever the chips lay, they lay, or wherever they fall, they lay. But I can tell you this is what's freaking amazing, dude. So at the end of 2020, we were beta testing the software on ourselves. We actually went out and bought like 11 trucks, and we set up an air conditioning company in Sarasota, Florida, almost overnight, Gil. And in the first 11 months, we did almost $6 million. Okay. And we did that because we were testing the software on ourselves. And here's what happened. 81% of all the replacement sales were highest efficiency, because the consumer could see the information and they chose what was the highest ROI, and the salesperson or the technician was never actually having to even tell them what they should do. It was all right there in black and white. And so what happens is Daikin comes and knocks on our door, and they go, what the hell are you doing over here? Like, you just barely opened up and you're already like the largest buyer in the region, and you are the second largest fit dealer in the United States. Like, what the hell? And so we showed them the technology and how we were doing it, and they grabbed it. And, so now we're a strategic vendor for Daikin, Goodman, and Amana. So if you're like a Daikin, Goodman, or Amana dealer, you can probably get them to pay for the software for you, because what it does is it helps you increase your performance so much.
I'm in. That's cool, because we actually do that stuff. So
let's do it, bro. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So let me give you one little case study besides my own, right? So we did $5 million. 81% of the systems were in like 10.5 months. We did over $5 million, and 81.5% of them, or whatever it was highest efficiency. So, but that's all cool. What's really better is when somebody else uses it and it happens. So we have one of the first companies that we rolled out in Southern California. He had a technician that was a non-selling technician, and he started his technician on the software, and in the first day did $56,000. He had 3 replacement sales and 2 high dollar repairs on maintenance calls, and he was a non-selling technician. He outperformed his best month ever by $80,000 in the first day. In the first 30 days. So what we found was it's the power of consistency, Gil.
Yeah.
So the software recognizes if a customer has a maintenance agreement or not. And it presents a maintenance agreement to the customer every single time that consumer doesn't have a maintenance agreement. 61.2% of the time, consumers are taking a maintenance agreement. We've never ever been able to come close to that. Like, all the best training I've ever done in my companies, we couldn't even come close to that. And so it just shows us that the power of consistency, when you use the right tools, like, does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense, because think about it. A lot of these, like myself, or, one-man bands and things like that, like, you get a process and you do really, really good job for your customers. But as you want to grow and scale, now the problem is teaching somebody else to do what you do. You know what I mean?
What you just said is called capability transfer. Okay. So in the business world, like above us, bro, like in the business world up there, they call it capability transfer. So the challenge that you just described is that what you can do, you cannot effectively transfer that same level of capability to others, even anywhere near what you can do yourself. And it's not just you, it's all of us. It's capability transfer. Shit. If I could have a successful capability transfer without technology, I'd have done that shit a long, long time ago. It's very difficult to do, especially when you're bringing in new technicians to the industry. Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Sorry, answering somebody in the comments. Yeah, it is. And trying to, I feel like that's always been an issue. And it's things that I hear a lot is, and we talked about McDonald's and consistency. You're always consistency with McDonald's. They've mastered it. Whether you're in Florida, Maryland, California, Canada, a Big Mac's a Big Mac. And customers like that. They like those companies that no matter if Tom, Dick, Harry, Joe, Steve comes out to service their service their house, they're getting the same level of service. They're all doing the same thing. They have a nice truck, all that kind of stuff. So that's why I love something like this where and I've tried to do something like this, like on paper, but that's why I love what you're doing here with Fixify, because it lays it out where it's like, keep it simple, stupid. You just got to follow the process.
Gil, I've been trying to do it on paper for freaking 20 years. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, it just doesn't work. You want to know what the real reason is? Like, I never like to allow this to rest on the shoulders of the technician. It's not about that. It's not about an incapability of the technician. You want to know what the real issue? It's really scientific. You want to know what it is?
What?
It's this. It's that if you think about, well, first of all, the human mind can only manage in an active content way. The human mind can only manage probably 2 initiatives at a time. Like, for instance, in our conversation right now, I want to make sure that I'm listening to you, and I want to make sure that I'm answering, whatever, and I'm not talking too fucking much and blah, blah, blah. These are my initiatives, right? But I can't manage 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 initiatives at one time. I can't. I can only keep on about 1 or 2, and sometimes I can carry a third fairly decently, right? And I'll give this to you as an example and proof of reality. When you think about your training meetings with your technicians, or salespeople, whatever it is, you have your training meetings, and whatever you're training on goes up, right? Whatever you train on. So let's say for the next 3 days, we're training on maintenance agreements and what to do and why they're so important and how it benefits the consumer and blah, 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 blah. And you go 3 days in a row on maintenance agreements. And what happens to your maintenance agreement performance? It goes up, right?
Uh-huh.
But what goes down? Everything else.
Yep.
Why? Because replacement leads aren't as important? No. Because, comprehensive service ticket isn't as important? No. IEQ sales aren't as important? No. It's because as humans, we can only manage 2 and sometimes a third initiative at once. If you think about what's going on a service call, Gil, there are 7 very key initiatives that we need to have happen on every single service episode. That's how weird our business model is. It's so complicated. We have to have 7 key initiatives happen on our service calls. And so you take a technician who's really good at these. Well, he's not so good at these. I got to get closer in here. These, and he's not good at these, right? And that's why that happens. Fixify doesn't have that problem. Fixify, because it's technology, it keeps track of all 7 initiatives at the same time, each and every service call, and it allows the technician to be the pilot, and it allows the technology to land the plane. Does that make sense?
Yeah, perfect sense. And doesn't it, you might have said this and maybe I didn't hear, doesn't it communicate with the customer throughout the process, as the guys are doing stuff?
Yeah, totally. Right. So we are using AI, literally using AI, that the technology is using avatars that look like humans and talking to the consumer about what to expect and the way that the information is going to be shared with them and why maintenance is so important and the value of it. And it's doing it in such a way that it never takes the technician and tries to turn him into the salesperson. It lets the technician just be the hero, right? The technician, here's realistically, what should a technician be? Friendly, honest, dependable, and comprehensive.
Yeah.
That's all. Realistically, that's what a absolute field service professional, which is what I consider them to be, right? Field service professionals, not techs, field service professionals. Okay. That's what I expect for them to be able to do, and let the technology do the rest. And now you're standing there looking like you are cut above everybody else because the technology that you're using is so far advanced from what other people are using in the industry that you automatically look like a greater level of professional to the customer, and you're not trying to sell them shit.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing. Like, and I've said this before, I don't want it to come off like in a salesy way, is just customers are buyers. They just don't want to be sold.
What customers want is they want to know who to trust, and from them they want to know what they should buy, right? You wouldn't be at my house if I didn't have a problem with this thing.
Yeah.
I want someone to give me transparent information, and I want to be able to trust you, and I want to be able to make a decision that's right for me. And that's what they want, right? It's this idea of, I don't want to buy something that's not right for me, but at the same time, I don't want to avoid something that I should have done.
Yeah. And being thorough like that, and you give the customer the good, the bad, and the ugly, you're giving them the information to be able to make a calculated decision. It's not just the people that go in and lie, where it's just, oh, your compressor's bad, you got to replace it. You know what I mean? The guys that are out there, lying and being dishonest.
If you think about it, then correct me if you think that this isn't right in any way, shape, or form. I want you to just say bullshit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
First of all, there are the components of the machine that are functioning within the manufacturer's specification. Then there are the components that are still functioning, but they are outside of the manufacturer's specification. And then there are the components that are no longer functioning. Is this true?
Yes.
Just show the customer that. That's what Fixify does. Fixify says, here are the components that are no longer functioning. You have to do these if you want to turn the machine on. Here are the components that are still functioning, but they're outside of the manufacturer's specifications because of wear and tear. Typically, those are the next to fail. Right?
Yeah.
I got a car parked in my driveway at my house that I got to change a tire on when I get home. I was leaving, and I've been driving on this car on my, and I look and I see that the steel belts are poking out, right? That it still got air in it. It's still driving down the street. Do I have to replace the tire? No. But if I don't replace it before it fails, you can be sure that I'm going to be on the side of the road fucking fixing it, when it's failed. And that's the same thing about the components that fail. But you know what the real problem is that I see? And this goes back, it's systemic, dude. Remember what we talked about earlier when we talked about overworking technicians?
Yeah.
When you overwork a technician, what happens is that technician gets into a rut, and I call it the troubleshooting rut. That technician, in most cases, doesn't even realize how many calls they have to run today, but they know this: the faster I run them, the faster I go home. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So they get into a troubleshooting rut. And instead of us encouraging technicians to take their time and work on a limited amount of calls and then give them the ability to mark when they're available and not available to work, but we haven't cracked into that piece of it, right? Like that's the other thing that Fixify does. And I believe what should happen, and I know that there's about, I can't even believe I'm going to say this, there's probably 10,000 business owners right now that would like to hunt me down for saying this. Technicians should demand more. And I don't mean walk in there and demand more money. I think that technicians should raise their standard of expectation for themselves, that they get to have a lifestyle that is reasonable so that they can maintain happy families and also be technicians in the air conditioning business. I don't think that's too much to ask, yeah? And so here's the way it all kind of comes together, Gil, is that if a company uses Fixify, they have the capability of allowing the technician to log in and log out when they're available. That sounds nuts, right? Who the fuck would do that? Who would possibly allow their technicians to log in and log out when they're available? Okay, but let me ask you this: if a technician could, from a high productivity standpoint, produce in a reasonable period of time because of consistency and using the technology, the same amount it takes 12 hours to run, shouldn't they be allowed to do it?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, if I have to go out there and work 12 hours or more in a high busy time period to bring in X amount of dollars so that the business gets what it wants and I get what I need to raise my family, if the software will help that company achieve that same financial performance in an 8-hour period of time because of how effectively the average transactional value of each of those calls are, isn't that the better way to treat our team members?
Yeah, 100%.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, and like we talked about earlier about, with the way we treat technicians and the so-called shortage and stuff like that. That's why a lot of people, like the younger generation and stuff like that, they don't want to get into our trade.
No way. You listen, I've tried to get my kids to come into our industry. They don't want to have nothing to do with it. Why? Because I was never there when they needed me there. I was never at T-ball practice when I should have been. I was never there for, flag football practice or whatever the fuck it was that was going on in our lives. I was working. So my kids say to themselves, well, I don't want to do that because when I become a dad, I want to be there for my kids. And so, but think about it, right? I could never take a vacation in the summertime when my kids were on vacation. And in the wintertime, when I could take vacation, I didn't have enough money to do it because it was slow.
Yeah.
And kids are like, screw that. I'm never going to do that. So our whole point is that if the job is done right, and if there's enough technology being used, you can allow your team members to earn a good living and still be able to be there to enjoy their families. And that's the most important thing. This idea that, you touched on it, this idea that there's a shortage of technicians. Okay, why? Simply because companies that are out there blocking smaller companies with all of their advertising dollars have more service calls that they can run. And so they're advertising for more technicians. They can't get more technicians. So that means there's a shortage. That doesn't mean there's a shortage. It means there's a broken distribution system between customers who need service and available technicians who are there to perform it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's a distribution system break. And that was why we did that.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love that. And that's so true. And to be honest, I never thought about it like that, but that makes perfect sense. That's the truth. It happens all the time in every big city. Everybody has that same issue unless you're the big guy. But let me ask you this when it comes to Fixify. So say a medium-sized company, like say for me, say I got 5, 6 service techs out there running. Everybody's clocked out, but calls are coming in. Then what happens inside of Fixify? Like say it's...
So it allows the customer to then select a appointment time, and it puts it into your unassigned category on your dispatch board. Now, so let's say, you ask the same question that everybody else has ever asked, right? But if all your technicians are clocked out, they're not working anyway, are they?
No, true. Because the chances of nobody working in a day or something like that are very slim. But, I was just trying to think for those, say they only have 2 guys and one guy's got to go be with his kid that day. And one guy's like, hey, I just ran 5 calls. Like I'm going home. Like I'm trying to be with my family.
Then realistically, that was your capacity availability for the day, like it or not. I mean,
true.
The harsh reality is that was your reality anyway, bro.
Yeah.
Right. So you can do what? You can say, oh, the fuck no, you're not going home. And you're going to go run these 2 calls. And then he turns in his van the next day.
Very true.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying it like I've been doing this a long time, and that's how it went. You could hardball some dude and you could say, yo, man, I need you to run those calls because of this or this. And he may do it that night, but then you pull up to the office and there's a empty van sitting there with his keys on the front seat.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, we are working to have good lives. That's why we work. We're working so that we can have good lives, and not so that we can make somebody richer. And, look, I realize that customers deserve good service, but like, just because I want spaghetti and meatballs at like 2 a.m. doesn't mean that my friend Andrea has to open his restaurant for me, bro.
True.
And in this industry, the only reason that we've got sucked into this idea of you have to give 24-hour service is because that's what good companies do. That's bullshit. That's not true. How are you going to take a guy out of his bed at 2 o'clock in the morning? He's not even safe. You can't even take a guy out of his bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and drive him for an hour to a service call for what? When it could have been taken care of 4 hours later and it could have been done in a safe manner. I mean, that's where the majority of injuries happen. That's where the majority of problems, that's where the majority of recalls happen. And then you get over there and it's a service call that you can't even complete while you're there.
Yeah, I won't do that. Never. I won't do it.
But that's the way the majority of the industry still works. And that's this idea that that's what it means to be a good tech. Oh, well, that's what you signed up for. That's not true. That's not true.
No, and I also think that exactly what you said, that it's, you can't have a summer, you can't go on vacation, you can't do anything. I also think that doesn't necessarily have to be true. And I think there's some companies out there that are, you know, having better culture and changing things. Like I know us at Beltway, we try to do things different. Are we perfect? No, there's no such thing as a perfect company. But, you know, these technicians, like, once they realize that we need them more than they need us, that's the truth. I mean, if you're a good technician, you could find a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what I think, man? I think even though I know today what you just said is real and is true, what I really think is that we got to let that shit go and we got to work together like a team. And that's what I've always built in my organizations. And that's why I've always had great cultures in my organizations, is because we were a team. And so this idea that you need me more than I need you, or vice versa, that means one of us is leveraging the other one. What I say is this: when the consumer is getting a comprehensive evaluation of the machine, a comprehensive transactional value follows. And when that happens, I don't need a technician to work superhuman amounts of hours. If the job is just done comprehensively right during the period of time in which it's safely supposed to be done, the company financially is viable. It is greed, and it is the inability to shift some of your earnings into other times of the year than this massive feeding frenzy that goes on when it's either too hot or too cold. And we've taken care of that with the software too. I mean, the software knows when there are service requirements of the machine that haven't been yet met, and it acts as in its CRM form. It acts as a communicator back to the consumer and lets them know, hey, these items are still outstanding on your machine and need to be taken care of. And it moves some of that into the off season. So that's
sweet.
When I was at Clockwork, it was my job to figure out how to make the business model work better. And the only solution I could come up with was we needed to use technology that didn't yet exist. Well, now it does exist. And what we're doing with Fixify is giving tools to technicians that help them to earn what it is that they are worth, without having to act like salespeople, without having to feel like they're recommending things that they don't really know why they're recommending them, except for to, satisfy some quota. Allowing contractors to earn more money on a fewer amount of hours so that their technicians can have good family lives. Reducing their operating expenses because so many of the consumers are using the digital communication platform instead of calling the office, that they can reduce their operating expenses inside the office to the point where they can actually move more compensation to the field and pay their technicians better. And all of that happens all simultaneously through the use of technology. And that's the beauty of the tool. And that's why I built it the way that we did, because we wanted to solve these issues.
And it sounds awesome. Like I definitely want to check it out, because I I want that for the business, and I want that for my technicians because I want them to take less stress off themselves. And I know that we try to do things, and like what I said earlier is I make sure like we have that team that my guys know that I appreciate them and I want them because I was like you said, and I think that's the main reason I went into management is because I wanted that time. I wanted to be able to, go on vacation if I could. And I still couldn't do that at first either. I had to work my way up to be able to do that. Be at the baseball games and not miss all this stuff and time that I couldn't get back. And I always tell our team, I'm like, if you have something that you need to do, then I want you to be there. That call can wait, or it can be done tomorrow. Like it's Mrs. Jones, she'll live, and God forbid if I lose a customer, it sucks, but okay, it happens.
I know, man, but you're not the norm, bro.
I know.
You're not the norm. And I admire you and I agree with everything that you're saying. And that's how I ran my organizations too. What I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to build a change into the industry so that this could be the new way that guys could do it and that guys could work and that they could earn what they need to earn to take care of their families in a much shorter period of time. And which means that the company earns what it needs to earn without putting that guy through that kind of a intense work cycle.
Yeah.
I mean, it all works together.
And what I love is because, I always try to think about what the viewer is going to think and different things. And, they're going to hear, oh, Darren's background is, 1 hour in place like that. We've heard all the stories about them. He's going to come on Gil's show and he's going to talk about selling stuff. You never did that.
So let's get that shit straight right now. Okay.
Yeah.
I hear people talk shit about what they think 1 hour air conditioning was about. Well, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Let me tell you what it was about. 1 hour air conditioning was about giving consumers the best experience and being transparent and sharing the information with them. That's what we created the company to be. I can't tell you that every single person that was ever a franchisee or somebody went out there and did things exactly that way. And we were aggressive and we were building a business and we were driving, okay? But it was always about showing the customer what was in the consumer's best interest. That's what it was about. And today it has a rap. Today it has a rap of, oh, just try to sell something no matter what. Well, I think I've already evidenced today by everything that we've talked about and everything that I've spent the last 3.5 fucking years of my life building with technology is that that's not what we're about.
Exactly.
That's the shortcut, dude. The shortcut is just going in there and trying to tell people they should buy shit. Doing things the right way is actually doing the work to show them where the quality of their machine actually is and letting them make the decision for themselves. That's what's up.
Yep. Well, and that you said it, but that was the point I was getting to, that everybody's initial thoughts were going to be wrong. It wasn't going to be that. And I agree. It's like anything. There's always bad apples. That doesn't mean the whole organization is bad. You can't control every person who's ever worked for that company.
Right. Listen, I can tell you that in my organization, we had like a one-shot policy. If you ever told a customer that they needed something that they didn't need and it was cut and dry and we knew it, you were fired. There was no second chance, bro. Okay? Listen, but I'm going to tell you, I'm going to flip it around and I'm going to say this. I tell you that a technician going in and telling a customer that they need something that they don't need is just as bad as not telling customers something that they needed to know that you were too lazy or too scared to show them. Because today there will be millions of people who have service calls run in their house today that are making decisions off of fractional pieces of information because somebody chose not to tell them. And to me, that's just as wrong. So that's like whether you tell them they need stuff they don't need or you don't advise them on the things that they really need to know. To me, it's equally bad. One's lazy and one's a liar.
No, I love that. That's 100% true. I love that. That's
this 100% of the time in Fixify. If you do a comprehensive diagnostic, I'll look anybody in the face and explain exactly why the recommendation is what it is. And the AI says it from the beginning. The choice is always yours, but we're going to show you the transparent information about the condition of your machine so that you can make an informed decision. Whatever you decide is good. Whatever you decide is what you want, but you're going to have all the information.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I agree 100%. And
Right?
yeah. And um uh Brian Burton too, who does the one you know,
Yeah.
and talking to him, and I know him and what he does at 1 hour. So that's why I want to hear those things. I'm like, you obviously don't know these people, man, because
Well, it's easy. Look, it's easy, man. This is, it's easy for us to try to find people to scapegoat and pick on and talk shit about. But when you really actually, figure out who they really are and that they're really actually cool people and that they are not, skeezy dickheads, then you realize, and they've been working their asses off in this industry a lot longer than you, then you realize that, what I thought I used to know, isn't really true. And we're all guilty of that, man. I've done the same thing myself.
yeah, for sure. It's, and I always tell people with this industry, and it's no different, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. It's like anything in life. So you put in a little bit in this industry, you're going to get a little out. But the sad part is people don't realize is you put in a lot, this industry can be very, very good to you,
Yeah, there's more opportunity in this industry than there are qualified people.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's why I never went off and went the other direction, was that I realized that there was more opportunity in the industry. A, be honest. B, show up to fucking work, right? And C, do the thing that you say you're going to do. I mean, you do those three things. I got 8 kids, right? And I teach my kids, if you do those 3 things alone, you are in the top 5%.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
Sad. True.
A little self-accountability, just being accountable to yourself and the people around you.
And don't bitch and complain and make excuses constantly. I mean, look, you can make excuses or you can make something great of your life, but you can't make both, right? You can be constantly bitching and complaining and blaming everything around you and blaming the consumer, blaming the dispatcher, blaming the owner, blaming the industry, blaming gas prices, dude, you'll live the rest of your life that way, right? I mean, every day that I get up, and I've done this for a long time, and I'm not telling you this because I'm smarter or better than anybody else. I'm just telling you, every day of my life, I get up and I look in the mirror and I say, I got 2 choices today. Okay. Either I win or I don't. And my choice is to win. And that choice to win means that I'm not going to let anything that I have to face today beat me down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and I've been taught by somebody else. It's kind of the same thing. I try to win one small battle at a time throughout the day. Win each day, and at the end of the week, I reflect back, and it's like, hey, well, I did this on Thursday. It's like, man, well, probably could have did a little bit better, but okay, that's all right. I reflected on it. Now I'm going to grow from it. All right, let's move on to this next week, and I'm going to try to win each battle each day. And it's made so many things change, especially when I started moving up to where it was less physical work, but it was more mental. And then I was, dealing with other businesses, the podcast and this, I could feel myself becoming overwhelmed. And then I got to the point where it was like, why are you letting yourself get overwhelmed? Like, I do what I can do to the best of my ability every day. And that's gotta be enough. You know what I mean?
If you do your very best, if you don't bullshit yourself and you do your very best, you will sleep good, bro.
Yeah.
That's it. You will sleep good. And I sleep good, bro.
Yeah. And I used to always be so hard on myself. I'll be honest. There was times there where I didn't sleep good because I was always like, you could have did better on this. You could have done better on that. But when I started doing the little battles, I lay my head on the pillow now and I go to sleep and I'm happy to wake up to get back at it,
I'm like you, man. I've been through all that. And not to say that there aren't still times, right, when I beat myself up, because that's just how people like us are, right? But the fact is that I'm older than you. And as you get older, you start to realize that, you know what, man? It's okay to like yourself, man. It's okay to feel good about yourself, bro. It's okay to feel like you did a good job and not constantly be beating yourself up because you could have been more.
Yeah.
a good friend of mine, Ken Goodrich, and I used to talk about this, and we called it mean daddy syndrome. Mean daddy syndrome. That's pretty funny.
That is funny. Well, man, we've been going for well over an hour. I guess
having fun. I've been having a good time.
This is a blast. I'm so glad that you came on and had this conversation. So for all the people, I didn't lie to you about not talking about the Department of Energy stuff. So that was the original topic we thought we were going to talk about. So what you should do is look up the Department of Energy stuff. It's stuff you need to know.
We have some recorded stuff that we've done on that. I mean, look, the fact is that the DOE is changing the minimum requirements and also the testing standards. And we have a whole bunch of information about that. If anybody wants, you can definitely email me, and I'm happy to send you a ton of information about it. The fact is that it's real, and you're not going to get around it, and you're not going to work around it, and you're not going to. They've cut through all the games, right? So even down to the distributor level, is that they will not sell mismatched systems anymore. You mark my words, after January 1, 2023, you will not go in and buy a furnace by itself. You will not buy a condenser by itself. You will be buying a match system, period. And why? Because our industry has worked so diligently to get around the rules that now they've basically put rules in place that are like, all right, let's see you try to get around these. And in reality, it's good because when you look at decarbonization and the shit that's going on in the environment around the world, residential HVAC is the number one contributor. So, again, tons of information that we have on that, Gil. Anybody that's listening that wants, more info on it or has any questions about it, gladly direct them to us, and myself or my team will answer their questions and give them more info.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that, talking about Goodman too. Like, people talk all this shit about Goodman. Goodman is one of the only companies that they will only sell you an AHRI matchup. So when you buy equipment for them, you can't say, oh, I want this 16 SEER outdoor unit and I want this air handler. If it is not an AHRI matchup, they will not sell it to you.
Yeah, and it's going to be, and all distributors will be that way very soon, because they will lose their EPA distribution license on refrigerant products for lifetime. That's the kind of shit they're putting on them, is that if this happens, if a contractor puts in a system, and they're incentivizing contractors to tell on each other. So it's like, if you lose a job to somebody and they put in something that wasn't right, you're paid to blow the whistle on them. And when you blow the whistle on them, then they go, well, who sold it to you? And then you go, well, that's the distributor that sold it to me. And then they go to the distributor and they go to the manufacturer and they say, if this happens again, then the manufacturer loses their ability. And what do you think the manufacturer says to the distributor? If you do that again, you're fucking cut off.
Yeah.
So they're going hardball on it. It ain't going away. But it's a good thing. It should be. It should be this way.
And the other good thing to think about on the positive thing is, and I'm pretty sure it's not state, I'm pretty sure it's federal, like all of the rebate money that they're giving out. I know here it's like $14,000 people can get, up to $8,000 for their HVAC system in order to upgrade it based on their income.
Yo, you got to get in touch with me offline here, bro. We've got a company that's using Fixify up in your neck of the woods. Dude's got $1 million backlogged. $1 million backlogged because of these rebates. He's killing it. Yeah,
no, we definitely have to talk. I know we were supposed to have the phone call. It was the weekends and we were busy, but we definitely have to talk. And
yeah, that's how it always works, right? I mean, that's what busy people do. They stay busy.
Yeah, no, exactly. No, that's definitely true. And I think that's awesome. The only thing that makes me mad, not to go on a rant here, is that they make those kind of things. But I really didn't know until 5 years ago when I started podcasting that only 18 out of 50 states require licensing to be into this industry. So it's like, we do all this standards and then we're going to make gas, refrigerant different and maybe more flammable and whatnot, but we don't require people to know what they're fucking doing to be able to put it in. It's just, it's frustrating.
I know. I feel the same way, buddy. I feel the same way.
It's yeah, it is. It's definitely crazy. Well, I won't keep.
The struggle is real, bro.
Yes, it is, and I think it's always going to be real as long as we can start to make some kind of progress, even if it's small. It's still progress. That's how you got to think about it.
I agree, man, and I want to leave you. I want to leave you with this, man. Is that, and everybody that's listening, is that we can reform the way that this business operates. I think reforming it is necessary, long overdue, and we can give consumers better experiences. We can give contractors better efficiencies, and we can certainly give technicians and their lives better lives, and their families better lives by reforming something that presently is broken. If it requires for you to sacrifice something that means the most to you so that you can earn a living, then there's something broken about it. And so, man, I'm super glad that you had me on here. And I've always, been a follower and a fan, and I know we've been talking a lot and wanted to get this done. So I'm really glad that you gave me the opportunity to get it done. I hope that the people that are listening to this get a little idea, a little bit better about who we are and who I am and what I'm about. And if I can help anybody, then I'm here.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I've been wanting to get you on for a while. Are you gonna be at any of the events like AHR or anything this year?
So I'm going to be at a lot of different events. I know that I'm at Service World Expo soon. I'm at an event this weekend, but that's not really an industry direct event. It's more of a technology event. But either myself or my team are at basically every major event. So, and we're also just a Zoom meeting away. So, if there's anybody out there, man, that's got like struggling with a challenge in their business, or there's something that they're trying to figure out and they aren't sure who to listen to or who to take advice from, just want to let you all know, I help people all the time just cause. So, my email address, Gil, feel free to kick out my email address. And if you want to kick out, any of my contact information, man, do it. And if there's anybody out there that needs help, I'd really be willing to help you just because that's how I got to where I'm at too.
No, that's awesome. And definitely, I mean, you've built enough businesses. I mean, how I'd like to bounce things off of you and have you as a resource myself. And I'm definitely interested in Fixify because, like I said, that's been something in my mind, like paper, and you can't do it. So something like this, it's already built. It just seems like, it's Christmas. like, hey, look at this. So I'm definitely very, very, very interested in trying to check that out some more.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. There's people, guys. I'm gonna try to end this. If you have questions, remember you got to put questions in all caps. So, I'm happy to. Hey, listen, I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has. I'm not trying to run out the door. So if you have questions that people want answered, fire away. Yeah, let's see. One guy, Sam, said there's 2 questions from people. Let's see. Payout reward. We like to find. How about this? If anybody wants to get a demo of this product, you can go to www.fixify.pro, fixify.pro. And as I said earlier, we are actually going to be launching the Fixify app in the name of Super Pro very soon, to where technicians can actually subscribe and use the app themselves without having to have their company subscribe to using the software. So we'll be rolling that out real soon too. So I'll get more info over to you, Gil, when the time is when the time is right, and then you can shoot it out as a link if you want to. But you'll be able to use the software as a tool like any other tool that you use on a daily basis, with whether your company subscribes to it or not. That's awesome. Yeah, let me know if I can help get the word out for you. Obviously, I mean, something like this that's out there to make technicians' lives better, I'm all for trying to help get it out. So, cool, man. Any other questions? No, that should be it. I don't see what the questions are talking about. So, guys, if I missed any questions, I apologize. I'm trying to scroll through, and when it's not in all caps, I can't sit here and read them all. Hold on, let me scroll back to the bottom and see. There were 2 questions, one me and one other person. Yeah, I see that, buddy. I don't know what the questions are, man. And I can't go through, 75 comments. So if you want, hurry up and post them real fast, and then if not, then we'll does
It says, does RHESW send you service calls from customer inquiries, right? Is that what you're looking at?
yeah, there's that, and then it says the one guy Kanga who left asked about financing.
Does the software send you service calls from customer inquiries? Not totally sure what that question means, but you also now have my email address, so feel free. Oh, and my email address, bro, is ddixon. So it's ddixon at teamfixify.com. And it's fyxify.com. So if you have any questions about that, just, I'm not sure what that question is, but
yeah. And the one on financing, I answered that before about the financing that they
automatically integrated.
Yeah.
So financing is automatically integrated. Financing is like the default method of payment. And you can use either Green Sky, Optimus, or Goodleap, or anything. Those are the financing inside the system. Otherwise, you can, if you let's say you use Wells Fargo or anything else, you can definitely use that too. But those are the financings that are built in.
All right, here. Let me put this again. Give me your email again, Darren. So
it's ddixon at teamfixify.com, and that's fyxify.com.
fyxify.com. There you go, guys. There's Darren's email right there. So yeah, man, I won't keep you any longer, Darren, but I thank you so much for coming on, being able to talk to you some more. I hope to be able to see you live at another event, so I actually get a chance to talk to you, in person and actually know, because when I met you in Vegas, I knew who you were, but didn't really know you, and I didn't want to be that guy. Even though that you said hi to me, I didn't want to come and bother you and be like, "Hey, sir, how you doing?"
No, please, I am not that guy.
Yeah, well, until you get to know somebody, you don't know that, because some people, let's just say, not everybody's like you. Some people you talk to, it's a little awkward. So I just try to, I be careful. I try to, normally it's friends of a friends. Like some people might say, "Hey, can you introduce me to so-and-so?" Yeah, sure. And I'll do the same thing. So, but now I know.
Well, I appreciate it, man, but I'm not like that. I'm just like everybody else. Just was lucky enough to be in the right places at the right times,
No, I hear you. Amen to that. So,
cool, man.
All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and start closing this out. Thank you for your time, Darren. I appreciate you, and I will definitely, I'm going to stay in touch with you.
Sounds good. Peace, everybody.
All right, guys, let's, man, that was an awesome show. I knew it would be, now that I've gotten to meet Darren and getting to talk to him about different things. Just a awesome guy, and what he does for the industry and the advice and stuff that he gets. You can see that he's real. He doesn't come on and give you a bunch of bullshit. And the funny thing is like he said, is everybody would think, because of his background and 1 hour and stuff, that he was going to come in here and talking about selling something. And he came on here and talk about a way to help the technicians. And so anybody who looks at this and comes to watch it, I want you to have that wow factor when you're fucking wrong when you click on it. I can't wait for the messages that people be like, "Oh my God, I was so wrong." Yeah, I know you were. And I can't wait for you to realize how wrong you were. Because I think Fixify is amazing. I remember hearing about it in the beginning phases before it was out. And I'll be honest, the first time I heard about it, I thought it was too good to be true, because it was so cool. And now that I see it's out and what it's doing for technicians, it's fucking awesome. And I really, really am going to check it out for us, because I do think that it's that much of a game changer, and the consistency factor that we can provide for our customers, which is what we try to do in the first place. So, yeah, thank you guys for coming out, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for my my moderators who come in here and keep all these things and send me stuff. I appreciate you guys. Can't be any more than a Ravens fan. You're going to watch your mouth, rookie. That's fine. Some of the things I was going to pay for in Atlanta, I'm not paying for anymore now, you son of a bitch. But just kidding. My Ravens are going to win this weekend. But thank you guys very much. I appreciate the support. Only just normal one show this week. Getting back to one show a week. I think there's some time coming up where I have multiple shows. Got some other things in the works. So a bunch of different things popping up. So make sure that you follow me on all the social media sites so that you stay up to date with what's going on with the podcast. I will have another hangout soon. Got some things to give away. Get those giveaways going, so that should be good. That's probably about it. Remember, guys, I'm always here to help you. Send the emails. You got Darren stuff in there. The D Dixon at teamfixify.com. And that should be it. All right. Guys, stay safe out there. We all have somebody to make it home to, all right? Keep your head on the swivel. Be smart. Be safe. Do the little things. I keep looking at the wrong camera. Do the little things. Set yourself apart from the next guy, all right? Nobody's going to knock on your door and give you what you want. If you want it, bust your fucking ass and go get it, all right? There's no reason to say, I don't know. We live in a world where information is at our fingertips, podcasts, books, the internet, whatever it is. Learn, study, get what you want, all right? Obviously, I am always here to help you. If I can help you in any way, I don't know everything, far from it. Not the best tech, installer, salesman, whatever. If I can't answer it for you, I'll find somebody else who can, and I'll learn at the same time. It makes us both better, all right? Email me, HVACuncensored@gmail.com. Direct message me on any of the social media sites. Other than that, I'll talk with you mofos later, all right? Be safe this week. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.